Morning and welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. It has been a busy week, especially for Harry and Meghan. I actually was not planning on doing a video or a live stream for the month of August just because it just gives me some downtime and those sorts of things. But I just felt like there was just so many good, like crazy things that went on that it was worthy of discussion. So we are going to talk about all these things today. Just making sure the mic is on. Obviously, a lot of it is about Harry and Meghan. They're going to Colombia. And then we got Omen Scobby. This is good. He's defending them going to Colombia because it's safer than the UK, because people maybe want to target her in the UK, apparently, allegedly. But a crime-ridden place like Colombia, oh, they'll be just fine. So he said some people really do Olympic level gymnastics. You know, that's the pot calling the kettle black or whatever. Miss the point. I can only speak for myself, but never once have I received a death threat from someone in Colombia. The vast, almost exclusively majority of the past 6 years have come from deranged individuals based in the UK. And I'm like, oh, good lordy me, give me a break. So there's a reason for that, and that's because nobody in Colombia cares about Harry and Meghan. Well, they might care now because their taxpayer dollars are probably going to pay for probably like $1 million plus, probably exaggerating, but several $100,000 probably dollars worth of security for the couple days that they're there. So Colombia, your taxpayer dollars there are hard at work paying for a couple's self-promotional tour / vacation. So yeah, no, he doesn't really get that. And then we have Harry and Meghan CBS interview. We'll get the full thing tomorrow. Did a whole video, which is doing really well, about how Meghan really let the mask slip in that article, that she really doesn't seem to like her husband all that much sometimes, or is really very, very scared of what's coming out of his mouth. Like anytime he opens his mouth, she becomes incredibly nervous. Not that I necessarily blame her, especially if he's not on the teleprompter or sticking with the notes that she gave him. She's not necessarily a super happy camper. We also have, what was the other thing this week? We had the Hamptons event, and then we had, oh gosh, what was the other thing? I'm missing, because there were kind of 3 things. Oh, Blackmail. Harry and Meghan, in my opinion, appear to be honestly telling the world that they're going to blackmail the royal family until they get what they want when it comes to security. Even though Meghan says she wishes Harry would give up these court cases. I mean, if he does, then she admits that she never really cared about the court cases or her safety was ever really in risk, as she told him previously. So lots going on for sure. I got to finish reading all those People magazine pieces. I might pick up the cover just because it's nice to have something in writing. I'm curious how, because they parse out the exclusives into like 6 different online articles or something, and each contain a little bit that's not in another one, and then they regurgitate a lot of the information. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, and they also didn't get an invitation to Balmoral. Shocking. Like, who wants them there? And then we also have, obviously, as well, all the royals at the Olympics. So we have Queen Letizia, Queen Mary. We had Princess Leonor and Infanta Sofia there quite a bit. Princess Anne is also there. And then what is the other thing? Also still going over the cough and COVID, by the way. We have one more. Oh, and William and the kids might be going next week. So we shall see if that happens. And it may not. I think I have a strong belief it probably will, but we don't know. So we do have a couple things here real quick. I love green tea. Became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. I love green tea. I am not as much of a green tea fan. I do like my hot cocoa though, which I will be sipping on this podcast. I haven't done it too much. This is Wittard's. It's the coconut variety. But I'm doing this because when I get a cough, it just always lingers ever since I had bronchitis in grad school. So it just goes on and on and on. Okay, so Cheryl T in Oklahoma. Good morning, all from Oklahoma. I missed last week's live stream. Glad to make it here. Goose, Vinny, and Misty say woof to Miss Pippa, and Miss Squeaky the cat gives a meow. I guess, and it's not Miss, but just Squeaky the cat. Miss Pippa and I did spend about 10 minutes out on our porch today, enjoying, because she's really liking going out on the porch. I almost wish we didn't face like a major streak, because then I could leave her out there longer, but I don't. I leave her out there if I'm like downstairs watching her, but if I have to come upstairs or anything, she comes inside with me, because I don't want anybody. She's so cute. Somebody could just snatch her right up, or she'd get really, really Twitter-pated about a dog and maybe figure out how to get off the porch, like underneath the things because she's so small. We have Deandra, one of our members for 8 months. 8 months. Miss Pippa. Hi, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and everyone. Laughs house. Oh, sorry. The dyslexia and reading too fast is starting to get to me. Okay. I laughed so loud when I heard Harry and Meghan are going to Colombia. Drug cartels would love to take them hostage. Shaking my head. Yes. Yes. 100%. Again, it's like I've been to that part of the world. I've been to Ecuador and I've been to Guyana. Guyana borders Venezuela, I believe. And it was a place I remember because we had a camera person with us, and they were going to do some B-roll footage as we were driving, and they were like the host who was helping us was like was very specific. They're like, okay, be really careful because somebody could come in and just grab that camera, attempt to grab that camera, and it's like not a place where I would go out beyond the resort by myself. And I've been in dangerous countries. I've been in Haiti, hugely dangerous. It's been a while since I've been in Haiti. But I've been in Haiti, I've been in Uganda. Like I have been in dangerous countries. And there is a different level of risk you take in those countries. Because yes, perhaps there are people in the UK that don't like Harry and Meghan. But the bigger risk, of course, is countries that are largely broadly unstable because you're more at risk of random acts of violence. And that's just the reality of the situation. Like I was well aware that if we were in Haiti and our car had to make it from sorry. Oh goodness. The airport to the base. If the car stopped anywhere between those two locations, we were screwed. We were 100% going to be robbed. I don't know what it would have happened, but we could not stop. Our car could not stop. I had been through training. I didn't participate in all of it because some of it kind of scared me. But like they used guns and they fired off blanks and they did like mock hostage situations. And it was serious. Like it's very, very serious because yes, maybe there are people who like you less in the UK than in Colombia. But again, you're a target in Colombia too for entirely different reasons. That doesn't negate, that people might target you, which is why it was so stupid what Omen Scobby said. It's like, okay, so Omen, so are you going to go down in Colombia and just randomly wander around? Does that sound like a smart idea to you? Probably not. So again, kind of dumb comments, but not a surprise from Harry and Meghan crowd. Cheryl T in Oklahoma, England, not safe. Colombia safe. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Same thing with when they went to Jamaica and you could say Costa Rica, although Costa Rica is pretty safe as far as I'm aware. There's, obviously you have to be somewhat careful. I mean, you always have to be careful. Like this is my travel spiel. Always be more aware if you're in a foreign country. I feel very safe in England, but like when I walked to the coronation, it was 4 a.m. I would not have done that without the coronation being there because I knew there were a gazillion cops everywhere. And all I had to do was scream once and I'd get the cavalry literally probably running to help me. So I had no doubts about that. But like I'd be really careful walking around London, like, after 12 at night. I'd like, or even before them in a little bit. I'm usually back in my hotel by 9 at the worst, maybe 10. Don't like to be out super late because if you are a woman and you are alone, there's certain steps that you need to take in any foreign country because you are maybe at the mercy a little bit more of the culture. But that goes up to like 11 when you're in a potentially much more dangerous country where you're much more of a target. Again, just my spiel, like I was a bit, nervous in Paris and stuff. I probably wouldn't have been out at Paris late at night. Again, different things. So Selena Hopkins says, Colombia shares a border with Venezuela. There's a lot of unrest going on there. Oh, yes. Always. Always. But again, these are not super bright people. And they just are looking for any place that will basically give them a free vacation with, / self-promotional tour, in my personal opinion. And I say in my personal opinion, somebody asked her, like, why do you say seems and often and kind of bit, why are you vague? It's for legal reasons, guys. It's for legal reasons. If you're ever wondering. Okay, so we have Queen of Green, yes. I'm wondering if the trip to Colombia is to cause an international incident to ensure Harry's and his wife's international security while else go to one of the most dangerous countries. And it's important because let's see, sorry, I read another comment and got my brain thinking in a different direction. if they do that, like, you as a judge, you almost have to say, "Well, then why did you go? Why did you go? Like, this is stupid." Like, they're literally trying to incite something to happen against them. And if you're going to do that, then something happens, like, that's your fault. You didn't have to do that. Again, it's like, it's kind of like that personal responsibility thing. Like, don't walk around at 4 o'clock in the morning and expect yourself to be perfectly safe. Now, again, coronation, different situation, because I knew there were a bunch of cops. But like, if you're somewhere else and you're walking around super late at night and something happens, maybe you shouldn't have been walking around at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, there's that personal responsibility aspect. But if they cause an international incident, like, how can they cause like, they're on their own time doing their own thing. Like, it can't be an international incident. So it's kind of, yeah. So Kira says, stop calling him dumb and not bright. That is so rude, and it's a form of bullying. Do better. Well, I say that because it's kind of sort of true. I really try to be very careful. I'd say oftentimes you'll notice I say the things they do are dumb because they are dumb oftentimes. But it's kind of sort of true that Harry is well known broadly with his family and in royal circles and everything for not being the brightest. And that's fine. I think he actually was great as a royal in many ways. But that was obviously something that attracted Meghan to him. So I don't necessarily particularly think it's a form of bullying, but you know, to each their own. Azima said, hi, everyone. Azima says, how is Colombia safer than the UK? Kind of went over that. It's not. It's not. CJE says he required assistance to pass art. He couldn't get into university. He failed his pilot's exam multiple times. He had to leave the military because he couldn't pass the promotional exam. Yeah, that's kind of hard to ignore all of those things. So yeah, it's hate to say it, but yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it factors in. I say that because it factors into the situation we have now. That's why I say those sort of things sometimes, because it factors into the situation. So when it comes to their relationship, part of the attraction, I think, for Meghan is that he wasn't the sharpest. And so she could more easily manipulate him. He was also very enamored with her. So he was more malleable to what she wanted, in my opinion. But now that's coming back sort of to bite her. And when he says things that don't make them look too good, or kind of says dumb things, it reflects badly on her. And I don't think she particularly likes that. Now, she does her own version of that in Word Salad, which she says something, but not really anything at the same time. So they do that in different ways. But he, has a strong track record. I don't know if I said, Selena, thank you so much for the tip. I'm not sure if I said that. So yes. And then we have DS. Yay, you were featured on Sky News Australia. Oh, YouTube. A video named Internet Roast Harry and Meghan's Hypocrisy in an interview. Find your comment at minute 141. Why, thank you so much, DS. Okay, I'm going to have to screenshot that real quick so I can find it later. That is very exciting because I did have an annoyance this week, is that the Daily Mail took comments reacting to a post I made and then didn't attribute the post to me. And I found that very annoying, because it's like, you're reacting to people who reacted to me because I shared this story that you picked up and published. Yeah. So it's one of those things. So let's go. It says, ambassador needed in Colombia for the UK. H or Harry or Meghan, like, they wouldn't last like 5 seconds in the Colombia if they had to get. I mean, they're going because they're getting a massive security apparatus, and that's what they want. So Lizzie says, when Harry spoke in that interview, he made no sense. He needs dictation glasses. Yes. And I mean, it's hard. People criticize me sometimes, and I do go off the cuff, guys. I don't have a script when I talk. And sometimes it leads me to kind of being a bit repetitive, and I try to eliminate that as much as possible. But I find if I have to go with the script, I tend to mess up more. Like, I need to just have like bullet outlines or something, just to kind of give me some direction sometimes if I get a little off track. But he coming across and going, well, parents need to be first responders. I kind of sort of get that. And then I kind of really don't at the same time. It doesn't make a ton of sense. And he comes at it as like, so, proud. And Megan's just like cringing when he's speaking. Like, it's so obvious. Kira Lee, how about extremely intellectually challenged and easily led around by his nose? Yes. Maria says, "Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa." Good morning. We have Asma says, "Did anyone see Princess Anne at the Olympics?" Yeah, she did great. She's got given away at least 2 or 3 medals, which is awesome. So bravo, Anne. Asma says as well, what Harry said in that interview, what was the point of it? Just word salad and no research behind it. Yeah, he doesn't really know what he's talking about. And again, they're not parents in this stage of life. So I find it harder to take advice from people who haven't personally experienced something. And at this point, they like they don't know the challenges of trying to keep your kid off social media, trying to keep your kid safe on social media. Yes, terrible things are said about their kids on social media. I dislike that strongly as well. But the other issue is when your kid is on social media and your kid is reading things, reacting to friends, because what strangers say online, yes, they hurt, but if you're strong enough, you can kind of mostly ignore it. It's when like friends and those sorts of things, when they're pressuring you, when they're doing different things, that's a different level of of a situation with a child than just, having nasty posts online. And so, and if Harry and Meghan really want their kids to be private, then just don't mention them. I and the thing too is that when celebrities make a real point of not really discussing their children, which is fine. They're like they want their focus to be on their work, but we still see them out with their kids. What's weird about Harry and Meghan is that they say they want to keep their kids so private. And again, that's fine. But then they proceed to talk about them and how great it is to be parents, and then they're never seen out with them. That's the weird disconnect. You can't have it both ways. Like, you know, for example, Nicole Kidman, I don't feel like she talks a ton about her kids, either her adopted ones with Tom Cruise, who, obviously the separation with Scientology, but her daughters right now who are just growing up, who are just starting to become like starting to go to red carpets events and fashion shows and stuff like that. I don't feel like she ever talked a ton about them because she didn't really need to, because she wanted the focus to be on her work and she kept her kids private, but yet we still saw them traveling with their kids. Now, I will say, I feel like she spent probably a lot of time away from her kids filming 100%. But we see her with her children enough where it sort of kind of makes sense. But with Harry and Meghan, it's like we never see them with their kids and it's just weird. SMS says, is Megan just learning how little intelligence that Harry has, or is it because his lack of intelligence no longer serves her ambitions? I think it's the latter. I think he was a willing fool, and he was a willing to do whatever she wanted. But now she's sort of stuck with a guy that's kind of dim, and that's becoming harder for her. Like for me, I want somebody in a relationship who's pretty sharp because I'm pretty sharp, and I can't imagine having somebody who's less intelligent than I am to a certain extent, because that would start to get kind of hard. And you can be intelligent in different ways. I think Carrie has more emotional intelligence than she does, but she is so consumed with image. Here's a problem too. Meghan Markle is so consumed with image that when he says something stupid, like she can't stand it because it just makes her cringe so much because she wants to be perceived as perfect. You watch her interaction and it's entirely scripted. The look down, the smile, like you can feel the scriptedness of her responses. Whereas Harry, just comes off as off the cuff, and he's probably actually more passionate about the topic, but it comes across worse because he's not articulating well, and that's what bothers her. It's like it ruins her perfect response when he opens his mouth. So Kaza says, good morning. All I'll miss the live because I'm driving down to the coast this morning. Well, have fun. It's weird that William isn't connected with Welsh culture the way Catherine or Charles was. He doesn't speak the language and doesn't do the annual week there. He'll get backlash if he doesn't take the place of his title seriously. I would agree with that. I think, and this has been a weird year because again, I have always been said, Catherine William probably need to do a bit more, but this year has obviously been incredibly difficult, and I don't slight them for that at all. And I think that's been a real challenge for them. But I hope next year we definitely do see an increase in the workload and an increased connection to Wales for William. He needs to learn Welsh. Like they're hiring somebody to help them with that, but that is a really big thing because Catherine and William have always kind of been allowed to sort of have a pretty easy royal path. I know a lot of royals who work a lot more, or at least appear to work a lot more. And William and Catherine probably work a lot behind the scenes. But the thing is that you must be seen to be believed. And so you actually need to be seen out doing more things rather than doing things in house. And so it's kind of a complicated balance to maintain. But I think they need to be seen going to the Olympics. I've heard that they're on vacation. And it's like, well, you guys know the Olympics was right around the corner and stuff. And so maybe a part of the first week it's Anne and then it's William. I think that would be great. And because the other royals are having a fantastic presence, and the Brits, Anne is great and Anna's doing a fantastic job, but the Brits could do more. They just could. Like the young Spanish royal ladies were going to event after event after event. And so I think the Brits could do more for sure. Azuma says there's a sharp contrast between the Waleses and the Sussexes. Catherine and William spend as much time as they can with their children, and Harry and Meghan can't get away from their children fast enough. And again, when Catherine and William speak on being parents, when Catherine speaks on the early years, I actually listen because I see her with her children and I know she spent a lot of time with them when they were children, raising them. And so that comes across in their interactions. Whereas Harry and Meghan, when they talk about the importance of being parents and how much we love being parents, but yet they're never with their kids, again, it's a disconnect. And some people are like, well, you're forcing them to show their children. And I find that argument so dumb because it's like, no, what I'm saying is if you're going to it's like having a parenting Instagram and never showing your kids, or being a parenting expert without any children. You can't do it well because you've lost something in the process, because it's kind of the thing where you need to actually experience X. And when we don't see you with your kids, how do I know you're a great parent? You say you're a great parent, your kids are awesome. I have no clue if any of that's true. And the simple solution is, as I've always said, is to just simply stop talking about them, stop bringing them up, focus on you guys, because that's what you care about anyways, and just not talk publicly about the children. There is a way to do that. But it's when they talk publicly about the kids, the importance of being parents. And yet, anytime they're out and about, they're never with their kids, seen out and about. They're never with their children, which also tells you that, of course, all their paparazzi shots are arranged. But also that when they go on trips, when they go on vacations, the kids never come with them. It becomes really, really weird and seems like you're not connected to them. So we have Kylar Kaxar says that the king needs to remove Harry's Grand King's Cross Victorian Order. He has no respect for the monarchy. Well, they need to do a lot more than that. They need to strip them of the line of succession and basically remove all privileges and titles and everything. They just need to do that. And this is a chance to do that. Yes, I know Charles wants to give Harry a route back, but Harry's just basically admitted through People magazine that they're just going to keep going on infinity until they get what they want. And so they're never going to stop. It's blackmail. We're going to do what we want until you capitulate to us. So don't capitulate. You're the one who has to make the hard decisions. Renee says, good morning, everyone. Harry must be desperate. He has reached the point of blackmail. Appalling. Yes. And it's dumb because the monarchy has no real control over this. Because again, you're talking about taxpayer money. And regardless of what Harry says, the taxpayers would be on the hook for some of it. 100%. Tori says, good morning, everyone. We got Letitia. Good morning. Hi, Brittany and Ms. Pippa. We got Millie, one of our members. Good morning. Happy Saturday. And Diane, another member. Hi, everyone. We have Renee. Also, I don't think Colombia's main problem is internet bullying. With poverty and violence, the radical left should be busy trying to address that. To spend money, Harry and Meghan, is so wasteful. Yes. Again, it's not on social media. And ironically, the one incidence of violence recently, you could say that is focused somewhat around Harry and Meghan, was a Black police officer against women who were speaking ill of Meghan Markle. So if that allegation of the story is true, as he's been charged with that and dismissed, I believe, as a police officer, forgive me if some of the facts there are wrong, I would say doesn't always mean that what people say online becomes anything, and that sometimes the situation might be reversed. So kind of damages their argument in a lot of ways, in my personal opinion. We have Karen, good morning from cloudy, muggy, warm Northern California. Tori says, is it just me? Or is anyone annoyed and upset that Meghan is talking about bullying and mental health? Yeah, she knows nothing about mental health and doesn't understand corrective criticism. Yes, it is very annoying. It's very annoying because, again, the first people they need to address on this issue is the Sussex Squad, which they are well aware of. I mean, reports have indicated that they've actually had like phone conversations with them and stuff like that. It's like you need to start at home. Those are the first people you need to address. Because yes, some of the things that are said about you are unfair. I would agree with that. Sometimes people go too far. I would agree with that. But that doesn't negate what your fans are doing too. And this is what I kind of despise about Harry and Meghan and their fans is that they think their charity eliminates their sin, let's say. It absolves them of their sin. They can bully as much as they want, but they gave, they raised $10,000 for charity. So it's all like fair and square. It's like, no, 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 no. Just because you're charitable doesn't mean you're a good person and doesn't excuse your behavior either. And I'm not somebody who, I don't know how you could say it exactly. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, but it's I feel like it's such a false premise to go, well, we're so great and we're just trying to defend them. It's like, but you're not defending them. You're attacking people. There's a difference. There's a difference how I criticize them. I say some of the things they do are dumb, and I use that very specifically. And although sometimes I say Harry's a little bit dim, and that's to him personally, you'll notice I don't really criticize Meghan Markle's individual features or Harry's really. Sometimes I do say he really needs to kind of change his haircut because at this point we all know he's balding really, really badly, and it's just it looks kind of bad from certain pictures. But those are the kind of things I'm very, very careful on it. Not other people have decided not to do that, but again, it doesn't absolve Harry and Meghan's behavior, and it doesn't absolve their fans' behavior either. If you really stand on principle for this, then call out the people who bully in your name. Call out the people who do that. And if that's not, then it obviously doesn't really matter to you. What matters to you is, of course, how it is affecting them. This is all about them. This whole campaign is all about how social media hasn't embraced Meghan Markle the way she thought it would. That's the entire reason they had this platform at all. Is that that's the only aspect of it they care about, is that people aren't in love with Meghan Markle. So you have Blackpink 0808. Hi, everyone. You have Carrie Williams. Yes, annoyed and mystified that she has the cheek to do this when she has a disrespected, ignored, and lied about her family. Yes. And although I'm not a fan of the Markles, I made that pretty clear. I think Meghan has treated her family pretty appallingly. So has Harry. And so it's like, how can they stand sanctimoniously going, oh, we're trying to help families when they don't have a relationship with their family? Neither side. That's obviously a problem. Like, again, like, if there were six sexes were reversed, if Harry was a woman and Meghan was a man, people would be in an uproar about how Meghan has treated Harry. But because the sexes are reversed, it's just not seen, I guess, as that as dangerous or whatever. But it is something where it's never a good sign in a relationship when somebody distances themselves from their entire friends and family. Before that relationship, things were just fine. Then after that relationship, everything changes because again, the issue with Meghan was never the color of her skin, which is what she has convinced Harry it was. It was that they didn't like her. They thought she was obnoxious. They thought she was, it sounds like, at least according to Tom Bauer, just too woke and lacked a sense of humor. And like those were the issues. And Harry just could not seem to understand that. Or again, just believed her lies that, well, it's all about racism, even though they were trying to tell him some real things about her character. Again, what Martin Luther King said, judge people by their content of their character, not the color of their skin. Meghan's skin color doesn't matter to me in the slightest. I could care less. Her character, that's what I've noticed. We have Elaine here. I have read comments on the CBS Morning website about Harry and his wife. Comments are negative about their preaching about online bullying for one main reason: the Sussex Squad. Yes, oh yes. Until they address that issue will not go away. They just need to say, we don't support what they're doing. We don't support what they're doing, distance themselves from them. But they don't want to because Meghan created that squad by releasing that letter, having the palace release that letter, claiming that all the negative stories about her were racist. That is why this whole thing exists, is because of that. Because if her skin color was different, I don't think the squad would exist. I don't think they would care. So anyways, Kim Marie, thank you so much for the tip. Is Harry going to receive millions are from the Queen's mother on at his 40th. Yes, and it's only 7 million. And I know I've seen people going, well, Meghan's just staying with him for that inheritance. No. 7 million at this point is pretty much pennies to them. They'll have to pay taxes on that. And it's not enough to fund their lifestyle. They need 70 million. They need 70 million, not 7. 7 million may seem like a lot, but their house is worth double that. And they have a mortgage of like $9 million. And the income routes are starting, I think, to dry up a bit. So I think that money means very little in some ways. Like it'll be a welcome bit, but it's not going to alleviate the financial stresses they're under. It's just going to be at the end of the day, because they're living a billionaire's lifestyle. Think of it. They want to take private jets all the time. They want Meghan shows up all the time, every single time in designer jewelry, tens of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry on a daily basis. And you have to look at all that and you have to think, okay, she's flaunting a lot, and she flaunts a lot. Every time you see her, it's an entirely new outfit. And I did come to this conclusion. I wish I had included it in the Duchess of Beige, but we may need a part 2. Is that Meghan's silhouettes now, they're all so samey same, and the colors are so bland and banal. She looks like a very boring dresser because it's boring. It's the same silhouettes, it's the same colors, none of it ever changes. So even though Catherine, you could argue, wears the same silhouettes, she wears a lot of different color, which makes individual outfits pop more than this banal beige slap that Meghan puts on. I hate the beige. I hate the whole people who go, oh, I can't wear any color. I hate color. I was like, oh, you must live a very boring existence, in my personal opinion, because color is fun. All right, Kristen M. Thank you so much for the tip. What do you think will happen before the palace finally steps in and acts on Harry and Meghan's situation? Thank you for the live. Yeah, I don't know when it will be, but if they really do cause like an international incident, which they're so like squeaking by the line of that. If they really do make that big a mistake, yeah, that may have to act, but it just bothers me overall because again, Charles is head of state of the UK. So if he wasn't head of state and they were just a royal family, then you could allow Harry and Meghan to do more. But Harry and Meghan are constantly undermining the royal family, the head of state of the United Kingdom, by every little shot they take. Yes, some people are like, oh, the monarchy is more popular than ever. But it is undermining it. It is damaging its public reputation abroad because of what they do. So the royal family has to take this seriously. They keep treating this like it's a personal family dispute. It's not anymore. Harry and Meghan have made it very clear that they want to compete on the international stage. So the royal family needs to start taking that seriously and change up how they're responding to things. Because this kind of, I think and sometimes the silence is golden is best, but also they might let this thing go on so much that an entire generation might have a bad opinion of the monarchy because they allowed Harry and Meghan to have free reign for way too long. And I know that's hard because there is a family dynamic at play here. Of course, Charles is Harry's father. I get that. But you need to think about the future. It can't just be salvaging your relationship with Harry. Harry doesn't want the relationship to be salvaged right now. He claims to, but he doesn't really want to. He wants something his father can't get him. And then what's the next thing? If his father capitulates on the security, will that be enough? Because Meghan still doesn't want to come to the UK. So Harry might do all this, and I've said this before, might do all this, and she still might not go along and visit the UK with him. So you're never going to win. That's the thing. With Meghan Markle, it doesn't seem like anyone ever wins. You're the one who has to make the tough decisions. You're the one who has to make the tough calls. Otherwise, it's not going to change. It's not going to get any better. So we also have MCG. Thank you so much for the tip. They seem not having kids, or do they don't care about their kids? Or are they traveling together in a high-risk country? Doesn't add up. It doesn't. It doesn't make a bunch of sense. And if the kids are just so important to them, then like they need to be seen out with them a time or two. Yes, we have a handful, like we see them once a year for like the 4th of July with their folks, and that's it. And There's nothing wrong, again, with trying to keep your kids private, but the reality is you want them to be public figures. You gave them a royal title. If you wanted them to be truly private, don't give them a royal title. This is what's so obnoxious about Harry and Meghan, is that they claim to want one thing and do another. If you want your kids to be private, don't give them a royal title. That's what Princess Anne did. Her husband didn't take a royal title when they got married, so their kids weren't eligible for one. But that was part of the thing. She's like, well, my kids aren't important enough in the line of succession. Just give them a regular name. And it doesn't really matter. We still know who Peter Phillips is. We still know who Zara Phillips is. Harry and Meghan want all the trappings of royalty, all the benefits of royalty, none of the responsibility, but they gaslight people by telling them that the royal family doesn't care about them when the royal family has bent over backwards to try to please them multiple times. And then they say, well, they can't go to the UK because of security, but they'll go anywhere else in the world where the security risk is increased. They'll go to Haiti before they'll go to the UK. And that's just stupid. That's just stupid, to be frank. And so none of it makes sense. It's all absolute hogwash. But people buy it. That's the danger that I think the royal family has to realize, is that people buy it. And so you have to take it seriously, because people are buying in to their gaslighting and their made up narrative. People are. So you have to take that seriously and you have to push back. You can't just have this thing where we're just going to put our heads in the sand and ignore it, because that's only benefiting Harry and Meghan. Sorry. All right, Ritz. Good morning from hot, humid Chicago, all. Asma says, I don't think Meghan understands the difference between bullying and constructive criticism. No, and neither does the Sussex Squad themselves. I get people who pop on my Twitter account every once in a while and go, oh, you're a hate account. I was like, well, number one, if you've actually spent some time on my account, you know, actually, technically, that's not true. I talk about a lot of other things. Only talked about Harry and Meghan recently because they've been in the news. Like, some people say, oh, that's all you talk about. I was like, no, that's not all I talk about. I talk about a lot of different things, but they just happen to be in news a lot this week. And most of the royals are on vacation if they're not at the Olympics. And so it's like one of those things where they just don't even understand it. And I think it's kind of like when people use the term Nazi, and I'm guilty of it as well. We kind of minimize what the Nazis do by saying soup Nazi, or they're the checkout Nazi, or whatever. And that diminishes what the Nazis did in some ways, because we're sort of making light of it. And I think the same thing goes with hate. They label everything as hate, but no, it's criticism. There's a difference. And so when you understand that difference, I think that's really, really important. So yeah. Jane says, good morning from Tampa, asking for prayers for Tropical Storm Debbie. Oh no. I hope you guys are okay. We have Wendy. Good morning. And Wendy follows up with, Jane Pauley is a Kappa Kappa Gamma, was on the cover of the sorority magazine. I can't remember which sorority Meghan was part of. Maybe it was Kappa Kappa Gamma. So that wouldn't be necessarily a huge surprise that Meghan would go with a sorority sister to do the interview. But that's not all. Their requirement basically is they want somebody who doesn't ever question them, like, or push back against what they say. And that's really what they want. Jane, a Bucks fan, says, I hope Meghan reads the comments on the website and can see how unpopular she really is. Yeah, she really just seems to think too, if she can say her side again and again and again, and at some point we'll believe her and be her friends, I guess you could say. Tori Myers says, if she reads the comments, she would probably claim racism, bullying 100%. We have Betty. Good morning from Oklahoma. Love your show. Never miss it. Why, thank you. We got Kimberly, a member. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Brittany. Hello. Jane Buxton says, DeAndre, they would be perfect targets and they get a lot of attention and they'd get lots of money. Yeah, but it might be not so pleasant in Colombia. All right. And so we have K.N. Kiernan. Thank you so much for the tip this morning. Should they strip the titles? Why should the American citizens pay taxes for them with those titles? They get certain benefits. We are paying taxes indirectly. We aren't really paying for taxes indirectly for them. But what I will say is that if they get this IPP status back, which they clearly want, then the U.S. taxpayers would have to augment their security. And that means we would be paying for it. When Meghan Markle came to New York for her $250,000 baby shower, I know part of that is just tied up in the private jet that she took. But when she came and did that, our taxpayer dollars covered that for her. We paid in part to protect her while she was having her extravagant baby shower that she could have perfectly had in the UK, no problem. And I think people would be up in arms if we were forced to pay for that because nobody wants to pay for that, Harry and Meghan. Nobody wants to pay for you guys because you guys think you're special. And again, the palace could eliminate a lot of that by going, well, they're not in the line of succession. They don't really have titles. Why do you need to pay anymore? So I think again, that's where the royal family should go 100%. And none of us should be forced to pay for them. Like other royals who have lived here, we have not paid their taxes or paid for their security. As far as I'm aware, Princess Madeline lived a perfectly normal life in Florida. As far as I'm aware, there was no diplomatic security around her. There may have been a time or two if she was doing something official on behalf of Sweden. But other than that, no, because she doesn't need it. And Harry and Meghan don't either. Yes, there are targets, but they've also sort of kind of made themselves targets by their actions. Nobody told them they had to do Netflix. Nobody told them they had to do Spare. And so if they have a greater target on their back because of their actions, why are we all paying for their stupid? I don't agree with that. I think that's a waste of taxpayer money. If they want to have taxpayer funded security, then they need to live in the UK. That's what they need to do. And it's just because they want that though, because they're cheap. They're cheap. And Marion says, question, is it true that Meghan Markle is now getting clothes from lesser known designers? If so, if she is paying for them. I don't know that, but I would imagine she's definitely on the freebie train. And most of her stuff is from like these other designers that look terrible. They look terrible. Like that vest thing was awful. It really was. That she wore. I think all the Heidi Merrick stuff is pretty bad too. I look at it and I signed up for their Super Windsor dress. I wonder too, I should look and see if that how's that selling for them? That $1,300 dress, which is double all the other dresses on their website just because Meghan Markle wore it once and badly, by the way. It'll be interesting to see. So we have Jenny. Good morning from Iowa, one of our members. Rich says, I love the shot of Queen Letizia and the Spanish team in the thumbnail. Yes, Queen Letizia is lovely. I think she's absolutely lovely. I think she does a great job for Spain. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about her, but I think she works really, really hard. And she, of course, is still struggling with her toe, which I feel because I tried to change and put different shoes on this morning. And I'm actually technically still wearing the shoes I did when I damaged my toe. It's like my pinky toe. I jammed it into the concrete. I don't know quite how I did it because I like clipped it or something on the ledge. Anyways, it's still bothering me a fair amount. Not terribly. It's not broken, but it's just still very sore. Especially if I wear the wrong thing. So it's like one of those things where like, ah, so annoying. But yeah, so she has dealt with a lot of feet issues. So she, I think, really tries for Spain. And the Spanish Royals, again, I said, are the hardest working Royals. Isa Texas says, good morning from Houston. We have Betty Gossell, hello from Oklahoma. Jenny says, and this is regarding Jane Pauley, she used to be a great journalist, but then no one seems to ask questions to validate and verify narratives. Yeah, there's not really, I would say, tough journalism only goes in one direction anymore. They only ask one particular side tough questions and the other side gets to skirt by. That's just the truth. And that's a sad reflection on journalism, I think, overall. And that's why, like, I watch when it comes to like movie reviews and stuff, I don't listen to the critics. The critics are shills for the most part. I listen to other people on YouTube. Why? Because they give me their honest opinion and they make fun of things that are obvious to make fun at. And that's just been a huge change, I think, of the media landscape overall. Tanya says, good morning, R&M family. We have Gina. Good morning from Las Vegas. So glad you did this live chat today. Yes, I'm glad too. We have Ritz. The fact that these two are still being enabled is so disturbing. Nobody calls them out for anything. Unreal. Yes. And it is very frustrating. It is very frustrating because they need to be called out a time or two. Deandra says, exactly. It was very strange to me that they were invited until I thought if it was part of a cartel, it would be a brilliant mark to your tour step. These two will be dumb enough to fall. Yeah, I don't understand, but man, it's going to be bad. Arivia says, I don't understand why the vice president of Colombia invited these grifters. It's an insult to the true RF. It makes no sense. They do nothing. They bring nothing. It's just weird. It is. But somebody's maybe willing to be a, like a foot mat because they can get a little publicity out of it. Here, it is a two-lane road. The country's getting publicity, and Harry and Meghan are getting publicity. But yeah, they offer nothing. They offer nothing. In terms of they don't offer what is the term I'm searching for? They don't offer like, they can't do any sort of trade deals, they can't help relations between 2 countries, like, they offer nothing. That's what's so stupid about all this, they literally offer nothing. Francis, good afternoon from Edinburgh. I had a great trip with RNN, I'm so glad, Francis. Hope you can make it home soon. We have Valerinon says, "Good morning all, and congrats on the American women's gymnastics team in Paris this week." Yes. Blackpink says, "I love seeing the royals at the Olympics. I'm really amazed at how the Spanish royal family manages their schedules and rotations." So, yes, I am incredibly impressed by the Spanish royals. I think, again, they have the best run, I think, social media of any royal family because what they've done, which I think is brilliant, which I wish the Brits would do, which they've kind of sort of done, but not really, is the Spanish royals, every engagement that they do is on YouTube. Casa Real. If you go to Casa Real, every single royal engagements they have is filmed and on YouTube. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Allows you to control the narrative. And Queen Letizia is a former reporter, so I can definitely see her being maybe some of the force behind that. I think they have like over 200,000 subscribers. It's a great way. And there's a royal family channel, which I think is technically run by ITV or something, that has all the British engagements. But these videos are very short. I don't really particularly like them all that much. The British royal family should 100%, every royal family should have a dedicated YouTube channel that just covers their engagements. Because guess what? Allows you to control the narrative. You're the one putting the video out there. You're the one editing it, getting it together, throwing a great opportunity. It's like, it's brilliant. I don't understand why the other royal families don't follow that same model. I think they all should. Especially because it made it so easy to cover the state visit between Spain and the Netherlands because the Spanish put every single engagement they had on YouTube. It was awesome. Jane says, even though Sunday morning is a soft news program, maybe they'll run the interview with all the cringe footage still intact. I mean, everyone's discussed Meghan's pain look. Yeah, I was like, are they subtly trolling them? Is CBS trolling Harry and Meghan? Because, like, why would you include that look? Because that's not a look. I mean, her look should have been, yeah, of course. You know, that's like, her look should have been more that instead of, like, whatever look she gave. Shadish says, "Hello from Virginia with my coffee. I hope all are settled in." We have Diane, good morning. We have Jennifer, good morning. We have K Coffee, a member, good morning, everyone. Lily asks, "Does anyone actually take Omid?" I would guess the ending of that is seriously. No, I don't think anybody does, but it is really sad because, oh my gosh, he is a piece of work. He is. So we have Colleen Lutz here. We have, let's see, Ellen, good morning. Stephanie, who is she talking about? Talking about Omen Scobby. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and Lily finished the thought. Does anybody actually take Omen Scobie's reporting seriously at this point? No, and because he's becoming a fiction writer, which I think he should have always been because he is a fiction writer. So we have Williams girl. Good morning, Brittany from hot and sunny Houston. Jamie says, "Love the Queen. That Queen Mary of Denmark took pictures with the Australian team at the Olympics. Will Princess Catherine and Prince William be there at the Olympics?" That has been the rumor that Prince William and the kids are going. I don't know about Catherine. It depends on how long her treatments are going and how invasive they are and everything. So we'll see. They did just come off from vacation, but I think William needs to make a show. He does. K Coffee says, "Annie says hi to Miss Pippa. Miss Pippa says hi from downstairs." Eva says, "Good morning, Brittany and everyone. Warm in Arizona." We have Marion. Question: Do you know if Meghan Markle had to pay for her designer clothes or she gets a big discount or fee? Imagine she gets discounted and maybe them for free. And I don't think she has to return them because some of them aren't cheap enough for her to return. But she's also kind of sort of acting royal, maybe you could say, in how she's dressed, like how she's, I don't know. Maybe that's, can't quite remember where that thought went. But I had a thought about that. But yeah, I find her clothes are terrible. Sharon says, hot and humid at Prince Edward Island. Tori says, Omen knows nothing about Colombia and how dangerous it is. Yes. I mean, I would have to do a little bit more research for myself. But yeah, there's certain places where it's just dangerous to go. Just dangerous to go. Rachel says, good afternoon from Cameroon. Hello. That is quite far away. We have Kay Simantel says, I don't care where they go. I have a problem with the reason they are going. I don't think they seem to understand the difficulties children suffer with. Yes. And it is sort of not just that they go, but that they treat it like it's a royal tour. That's what's really obnoxious. It's like they're treating it as if it's a royal tour. It's not a royal tour. It's just simply not a royal tour. It can't be a royal tour because you're not working royals. Like, should be obvious. Lizzie B says, is she going to say she's 43% Colombian or that she speaks Spanish because she went to Argentina? Yeah, I'd hope to see her actually speak some Spanish because I don't think we've ever really seen her speak Spanish much. Sunshine Baby says Meghan Markle borrows her clothes, which is why she looks like SHIT in them. I think that's somewhat true and somewhat not. But yeah, Laura says, good morning, Brittany. Hello from Jay, Oklahoma. And I think part of it too is that Meghan, like, she would want to keep the clothes. She's that kind of person. But thank you, Laura, who's a member. We have Aletha, who is also a member. Good morning from Boston. This is kind of off topic. Trying to understand why you were so negative to a fundraiser about Thomas Markle's 80th. The goal is to help with his medical bills. Surprise. I just think it's kind of weird. To be honest, I don't really have any strong opinion. Well, I'm just not really, the Markles don't do anything for me. I don't totally get it. Because I think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But yeah, I mean, if it helps him, that's great. I just think it's kind of weird, to be honest. Just because his daughter is not nice to him. There's a lot of dads out there who are like that. So that's just my opinion. Lily says, do you think Meghan always saw Harry was stupid, or has she only realized that recently? No, I think she always knew. I think she always knew. That was part of the attraction. Part of the attraction. So Sunshine Baby says she even borrows shoes from friends. Yeah. Yeah, her shoes, like, well, I have a hard time too with my heels popping out of shoes. So I have such a weird issue with like pumps. I wish my pumps fit better than they do. But I usually go with 7, even though I probably should technically maybe go with 7.5 because there's like, oh, your feet swell if you wear them too long. I was like, yeah, but my feet slip out and that doesn't work. So, anyways, we have Mark. Thank you so much for the tip. He says, I think Harry and Meghan have lost their minds. All they are trying to do is censor our right to free speech. Yes, 100% that is the case. They don't want people to say things they don't approve about themselves. And that's not how it works when you come onto the international stage. And it's one of those things where, like, Harry especially is like, well, I think the First Amendment is bonkers. Like, how dare you speak how I don't want you to speak? Like, I'm like, you sound like, King Henry VIII or something, Harry. Like, I don't think he truly understands that the purpose of free speech is not just to say whatever you want. You do have to be careful for like defamation reasons and stuff like that. But you should have the right to not agree with someone. But it has changed within the media culture, I would say broadly overall, is that there's certain things you can't not like anymore. You have to like them because the media complex on high says you have to like X. You see this a lot with shows that come out regarding Marvel and Star Wars and stuff. Like, you must like The Acolyte because it's diverse. So you must like it. And even if it's a crap show, it's like, you must like it. And it's like, no, I think I have the right to not like it. And that's what I don't like about what's going on in our culture either. It's like, it's become this thing where you can't like certain things, but you can disparage other things. Like, if you're a Christian, like, they can disparage Christianity all day long, but they won't say anything bad, about Islam or something like that. I kind of hate that all stuff. It's like, free speech stands for this idea that you should be able to agree and disagree with what you want to. And you should be able to say that publicly. If you want to believe the earth is flat, I think you're a fool, but go for it. Go for it. Like, I'm not going to tell you no. If you like Harry and Meghan, go for it. I'm not going to tell you you can't like them. You 100% can like them, but I should also have the right. And you can have your own public platform and say how much you like Harry and Meghan. Now, what you can't do is personally attack people who don't like Harry and Meghan because because I agree you should have the right to say how much you love them. Other people should have the right to say how much they dislike them. It's a two-way street or nothing at all. And this censorship for free speech and everything, I find just really, really terrible because you should have the right to your opinion. 100%. 100%. Okay. Jason Lee says if Harry gives up on his cases, he's facing a large legal bill as the defendants will want to have their costs paid. Yes. And I think Meghan is freaking out that he will lose overall and he'll be on the hook for everything. Yeah. Michelle says, good morning from Fishers, Indiana. So happy to see and listen to you this time. Great morning to catch alive. Yeah. So we have Tracy, C. Tracy. There They're both insane, and they might pay someone to kidnap them in the club if they want the response for the king to get more aggressive. Yeah, they seem to be courting. Yeah, like somebody said, they do seem to be somewhat courting an incident. But again, if I was a judge, I'd be going, well, why did you go to some place like Colombia? That's just stupid. Like, if you're so concerned about your security. And then the kind of stupid thing too is they've made such a fuss about something happening in the UK. If it happens somewhere else, are they going to blame the UK again? Or was it their own stupid mistakes? Again, it just doesn't make any sense. Debbie says, good morning, Brittany and everyone from New Jersey. We have Sean, and good morning, Brittany. We have Why Do That Ask. Good morning from Manitoba, Canada. Have you ever watched the American Viscountess YouTube videos? She's an American who married into the British aristocracy, and she makes videos about castles. I have seen some of her stuff. It is very good and very interesting. And we have Jamie. Good morning from Virginia. We have Mitch. Good morning, Brittany. Do you believe Meghan will be successful as she tries to do politics? I find this terrifying. No, she can't, but she will be. The thing is, she would technically be a very bad politician, but the media complex would shield her from a lot of her own inadequacies. But at the same time, too, she's not well liked, and I don't think she's well liked by even some people who would be considered on her side, because I think she kind of annoys everyone. So Jane Buck says, anyone honest about the Sussexes know they've been trying to blackmail the royal family. Yes, but I was just shocked to see them actually admit it. Ari Vienna says, anyone kidnapping those two would quickly release them. Yeah, I think especially when it comes to Meghan, they'd be like, no. Care Bear says, go to the food health store and get yourself Millen leaf drops. Helps with the cough, throat, and chest congestion. I might have to try that. Yeah, it's just like I had bronchitis in grad school. And ever since then, when I get a cough, it like lasts a month. It sucks. I hate it so much. And my mom got COVID too. And she's like fine. She has no cough. I'm like, how did I end up with this stupid cough? That was like my first symptom was I started coughing on the plane. Rit says, according to Meghan Markle CV, she speaks Spanish and dialects. This should be interesting. Yes. Jason Lee says, it's not cheap running a house, 24/7 security, PR teams, as well as all the travel. I'm going to go out on a limb and says he's burned through a lot of cash over the last 4.5 years. Yes, I think they've burned through millions upon millions of dollars. And not like the house that size is not cheap. 24/7 securities, having them escort you around town is not cheap. They want someone to pay for it. But they also are like they're not justified it. They're celebrities now. That's the life they chose. Sugar Cookie says, what's with the divorce rumors coming to the forefront? I think part of it is just seeing them interact in that little video clip. Like her reaction to him, I mean, the cringe on her face was so evident. But I've always said, like, the rumors of them starting to have issues came up last year around the 5-year mark, which is actually, again, what I suggested for their marriage length with about 5 years. So I think they're already starting to have problems. And Jay says, good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa from a very hot New Jersey. Azima says, Harry isn't helping his security court case by going to Colombia. No. And nor is he helping it by going and chatting on social media and doing documentaries about it. Bad form. Rich says, Harry is getting some cash on his 40th. They will blow through that in no time. Next. Yeah. The people are like, oh, she's staying with him for that. No, that cash means nothing. The cash is nothing, honestly. Jamie says, should we stop calling Harry and Meghan Duke and Duchess of Sussex by now? If so, when? I've already stopped. I stopped calling them a long time ago. Like, the only thing is when you're writing, and I think I have an idea for something, so I'll think and cogitate on it. But sometimes too, when you're writing, it becomes harder and harder to like differentiate how you call somebody. So sometimes it's helpful to dip into the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but I really go with Harry and Meghan. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. That's the way most people know them and call them. So that makes sense. Good morning, Brittany. Disfan says, love your thoughts on what the conversation might be like if Meghan finally ends up telling Harry it was all a lie. They get divorced. It's going to be an international disaster. Yes. Yes. And I don't know if it'll get there, but honestly, if she tells him that she doesn't want him to go through with this, like his question to her should be, well, I started this for you. Why don't you want this? I don't think she has an answer for that. Except for to basically admit that she was gaslighting him the whole time. Duchess of Camelot says, good morning, chat. We have Carmen. In my opinion, the Harkles are cosplaying the Prince and Princess of Wales. They are taking their causes and making them their projects. Yes. But the thing is, charity doesn't pay. Royals can do charity because they're paid for by the Duchy of Cornwall and Lancaster and, by extension, somewhat the British government. Harry and Meghan cannot fund their lifestyles by doing charity. That's not a real job. It's a real job for royals because of how they do things, but it's not a real job for Harry and Meghan. They need their businesses to pay them, but they can't do that. CNK Crib says, good morning from hot and steamy Georgia. Sarah says, the greatest threat Harry and Meghan face is not being taken seriously. Maybe I'm wrong, but people don't seem bothered that Harry and Meghan are going to Colombia, just that they are virtually signaling people. Yes, yes. Stephanie says, hi, Brittany. You mentioned sometimes at members' lives. Yeah, I have never had a notification and can't find them in the members section of your channel. How do I access them and get notifications? Maybe I should change up how I do it. So usually what I do is I put it in the community tab and I put the video as unlisted. And so you have to follow the link to get there. And I put that up there usually sometimes the day of or sometimes the day before. And so it's usually happens every other Thursday, but maybe I need to think and figure out if there's a better way to get notifications out there because I don't think they're getting out everywhere and I don't know how, but I will work on that. I'll make a note of that to try to figure out memberships notification. Because there's not, I don't think, a feature right now, at least to have something that is a members only live stream. You have to list it differently. And so if there is a way to do that, then that would be really helpful. So I'll have to figure that out. Ritz says a private jet, new clothes, shoes, jewelries, accessories, jewelries. Check. Yes. MJ Clark says Harry and Meghan should stop traveling all the world over the world and take their kids to Disney or even a vacation would be nice. Apparently they did take them to Disney, I think, or something. That was one of the stories. Blackpink says if Harry and Meghan insist that the place is safer, they should go there without bodyguards like a vacation. They shouldn't have the taxes be paid by the citizens of that country. 100%. 100%. Sandra says maybe they are just extremely dim. That might be kind of sort of the case. Let's see. Sorry, I got a notification from the Daily Express. Let's see if there's... I was just going to see if there's a... No. Royal news story that broke. Shan says our family in the UK are saying that Meghan is banned from coming near royals. It's or banned from coming near royals. It's coming out that William has a restraining order against her. I don't think any of that is true. I would say I don't think that's true at all. But the royals are like don't really want to engage with them anymore. Because they've tried, and every time Harry and Meghan just stab him in the back. So the royals are like, no, we don't really want to engage with you. And that's why they're not getting invited to Balmoral in different places. And William doesn't really want to have anything to do with them. And by extension, the Waleses don't. Like, they may have connected briefly, but like Harry and Meghan had no idea about what was going on with Catherine's health. They had no clue. And that was very deliberate. The royals don't bring them into their confidences anymore. Jane says there's a warning in the UK not to go to Colombia. Yeah. Kiernan says, I have a bad feeling they're going to stage another catastrophic car chase, fake security threat when they're in Colombia or elsewhere to get their IPP status back. Yeah, but if you're going to Colombia supposedly with like a full military convoy, which it seems like they are, then and something happens, like, I don't know. And if they're getting at you because they want money, that doesn't mean it has anything to do with the supposed hate they're getting online. Again, it's lose for them, really. Duchess of Camelot says that those two wanted to have a normal life in the US. They could have lived privately with a lot of money. Oh yeah, and they could have lived really well in like the Midwest and stuff. Like they chose Hollywood for a particular reason. Like the whole idea. I remember something. It was Shawn Lester. I watch her channel sometimes, not really as much recently, but she said if what they're saying is true and they truly wanted privacy, like they would live anywhere else but California. If they moved to California, then they're full of BS. And that's exactly what happened. Loretta Tucci says they did try to insist that the incident in New York, it failed. Yeah, everybody called them out on that. And that did nothing. That just made them look like fools. You just made them look like fools. It's like, why are you just trying to, like, the longer you drive around, the more you're increasing, like, once you get into your location, they'll go away. They just want the picture once you're there. And who cares if they know exactly where you are? Like, they know where a bunch of people are in like the celebrity sphere. Like their delusions that somehow they are these high profile targets is just like, it's just flies in the face of any logic. Rich says she just continues to be a massive nuisance to the RF. It will never end. Harry needs to go into long-term therapy and disappear for a long time. Yeah. Jason says courtiers want royals to visit as it gives them legitimacy, as they had a royal tour from a British royal when the royal family will not go to these countries for diplomatic reasons. Yes. Yeah. So Harry and Meghan, of course, are stepping in diplomatic challenges. Lizzie says that Harry thinks that this will help his security back. Is going to be the exact opposite. He is giving them proof that he is careless and wasteful. 100%. Like if I was a judge, I'd throw this in his face going, "Why are you doing this? This is a dumb idea. Why are you doing this? Why?" Like any person with half a brain would know going to Colombia is a bad idea. We have Peeper Jean. Thank you so much for the tip. If Meghan Markle went into politics, it would expose her to a lot of people who previously haven't cared to know about her. Popularity would plummet even more. Criticism would multiply. Her ego couldn't handle the political sphere, in my opinion. Thank you so much for the tip. And I agree with that. I don't think she could handle politics because she couldn't even handle royalty. She can't handle it when somebody challenges her narrative about herself. Like she cannot handle it. And the truth of the matter is, as well, is that she should have, like, she is somebody who flourishes in a really small pond. She's not somebody who would ever do well in a big pond. She needs a really, really small pond, a really, really small audience. And it's actually kind of interesting. So I was watching this morning um and I used to see them a lot and then they kind of disappeared from my my feed. It's Kay and Tay, and they were like seemingly this cute little couple. They had this little baby, and they would do like these funny things where they kind of, he would, make get her favorite snack together. They would go to, and he would like, give her like this nice romantic. It sounds weird, but like she had a stressful day, so he made up the bath for her and all these sorts of things. And then it comes out that there was like a domestic violence incident. Some other guy I'm seeing, he's talking about how there's more things to come out and everything. And it's like, oh, wow. It's like the thing is, once you get to a certain level, people dig into you. And that is just the truth. That is just the truth. And if you live a pretty, I think, decent life, you don't really have an issue with that. I think what happens with Megan, though, is that it's not just that they find things she doesn't want them to find. That's part of it, of course, but that people question what she says and the narrative she creates. That's what she doesn't like. She admitted so much in their documentary on Netflix by saying that she wanted to look at Instagram because that would give her a feel for who Harry is. And it's like that's not the truth. That gives you an image of his alter ego, what he wants his life. Like Instagram is a carefully curated view of you. It's not the truth. And I think that's what she wanted always was a carefully curated view of herself. And once you get to a certain level, that bubble is popped because they're going to investigate everything and they're going to question you on certain things. And she doesn't want that. And so I think politics would, of course, expose that as well. And honestly, I don't think she would be a very good politician. Don't think she'd be a very good politician at all. Dia says, I'm actually genuinely sad for Archie and Lilibet. They have royal blood running through their veins. And with that comes incredible history and tradition they're being deprived of. 100%. Again, imagine you're, let's say, 30, 40. You have some life under you. You have some experience. And you've missed out. You have no relationship with your in-law, your uncle and the family and everything because of your parents. And you remember your 4th birthday bouncing in the bouncy house. But then you think to yourself, my cousin, who's only a year or so older than me, got to experience a coronation with carriages. And like, how cool would that have been as a kid to see that rather than just having a bouncy house like any other 4-year-old? Like, yeah. Rachel says, why did Meghan not go to the Olympics, the big event in the world, and she has a no-show? Well, I don't think she really cares about well, she doesn't have anybody personally she's connected with. Maybe she hasn't tried to connect with Simone Biles, but she would want to try to connect with someone to be there for quote unquote someone like Serena Williams. Like she went to tennis to watch Serena Williams. I don't think Meghan gives two craps about tennis, but Serena Williams was there and Serena Williams is her friend. And so she wants to support her friend. I use air quotes because I don't think they're really friends. They are convenient friends. They give each other free publicity. That's why they're friends. Sugar Cookie says he His own mother called him thick, and yeah, he worships her. So not bullying. No. Have you changed your camera, Brittany? It looks different. It has not changed. I don't think so. I'm like looking at my image here. I was going, does it change that much? It hasn't really changed, but maybe sometimes the light in the video yesterday got a little weird. I think because I was doing like the close up of something, and so like really washed me out for a second. But Pohan Drek says she's so beige in more than one way. Yeah, I wanted to do like I did a Duchess of Beige on the fashion channel, but I need to do honestly a Duchess of Beige on the main channel too because Megan's is beige. Like overall, she chooses a beige wardrobe and she herself is beige. So Rich says, I have to mute each time one of them speaks. They are insufferable and a huge bore. Yes. Lady Aviator says, good morning from Huntsville, Alabama. First live I made in a few weeks celebrating my dad getting good results at his 6-month cancer checkup. That is awesome. Tori says, anytime the two of them speak, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Yes. Sophie says, do you know if there's an update on the Prince and Princess of Wales attending the Olympics or not? It has been reported, but until the palace confirms, it's just kind of speculation at this point. I strongly believe William will be there, but I'm not entirely sure. Katie says, more and more YouTubers are quoting you and attributing you. You're well respected. Why, thank you. Thank you. I work really hard and I try to do overall, like, I don't want to say totally good journalism because I am a commentator. I'm very particular about that. But I feel like I always come at it from a very, I don't want to say intelligent, maybe, but very, I don't know, articulate point of view. I try not to go down a path in a certain way. So I don't know if that makes sense. For Majesty the Queen, thank you so much for the tip. The membership community is great. Y'all join us. Stay tuned for gifted memberships. Been a member for a year and it's been great. Why, thank you. Thank you so much. I have a couple more pictures from Scotland to share with you all. It's just been it's just kind of getting all caught up in everything. It's just hard sometimes. But it was a fantastic, fantastic trip. And we got more people signed up for the Czech Republic and Germany trip. And a lot of people who have been, this is going to be their second trip, which is so exciting. We have some new people, some second trippers, one even who this is her third trip. It's going to be so fun because the Czech Republic trip, I think it starts December 15th, ends December 22nd. So you will be back home in time for Christmas. And so it's just going to be an awesome time to like check out Germany and like have the experience. Although I'm like, it's kind of like worrying a bit because I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I wear? Because it's going to be so like, sorry, I have like allergy issues and so my eyes will itch. It's gonna be so cold. I think. So we'll have to see. Renee Marie Berger de Roca became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Renee. I'm so glad you have joined our community. And I will be working on hopefully getting at some point a member. Sorry, that happens from time to time. A member's Discord going. Sorry, I'm going to use my Ludens to kind of hopefully minimize some of the coughing. So hopefully we can get that all up and running too, because I think that would be so fun for everyone. So we have Tess says, hi everyone, thanks for going live. I'm working and it will make time go by. So fun. Yay. Kiri Lee, I still love you. I'm not a fan of Harry and Meghan for personal experience. When someone is called dumb, it hurts no matter who you are. It is true. It is true. It's just one of those things where it's kind of, sometimes you kind of have to call a spade a spade. But Shannon Gums says, we would not be surprised if we in America have been paying for their security from day one, thanks to Biden and the visa secrecy with the British embassy. Yeah, that is weird. But I don't think so. But still, it's bad news. If it would be a huge scandal. Huge scandal. Wasn't CBS the only channel that did show Princess Diana's last moments? So I'm surprised Harry would even do an interview on that channel. Not sure about that, but yeah, Harry's not been real consistent when it comes to his Diana issues. He hasn't been really consistent. And Kathy says, wasn't Amner Hall in Wales? They used to live in Wales. They did. Not Amner Hall. That is in Sandringham, which is in Norfolk. But yes, they did have a home in Wales when William worked out there. Laura says, why Colombia? Is it a member of the Commonwealth? Finally, they aren't working royals. Why I call it an official tour? If it was King Charles, they would make the media know Harry and Meghan won't be representing the RF in Colombia. Yeah, again, I think this is a confusion that I find very obnoxious. that the palace won't specify, but I think they just found a country willing to pay for them. That's all that matters. Jack S. Megan can't find the factory reset button on her. That's good. Oh man. Cast Cal says, not just Welsh culture. Prince William is going to do wear a kilt in Scotland at some point. Oh, that would be fun to see. Missy says Harry's afraid of Meghan Markle in the UK because of acid and knives, afraid she'll use this on the Charlotte or Catherine. I don't think she would go that far, but I think his allegations there are a bit excessive because that's the same threat any royal lives under. Oh, Her Majesty the Queen gifted 10 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Her Majesty. I'm sure so many people will really appreciate that. It's such a great opportunity. And we have Shelley Brown. William and Catherine do know some Welsh. They lived there when they were first married. They also visited a few times, illnesses through a wrench and things. It kind of made it a bit hard. It's been a weird year, I'll admit. Bernadette Fleet says, can you imagine Harry's wife getting kidnapped in Colombia? It's going to be like the ransom of the Red Chief. Oh, and Ayana says, Charles was the Prince of Wales for a long time. Pretty sure William will speak Welsh at some point. I hope so. Sean says, LOL, both of their intelligences is mediocre at best. Now, I don't like calling them evil. I don't like that. I will be clear. I don't like that. I don't think the Queen ever said that about them. Because that is a high threshold to meet, and I don't think they meet it. But are they desperate, spiteful, and manipulative? Yes. And they won't stop. Yeah. Blackpink says, I wonder if Harry and Meghan's kids get the chance to do what non-royal kids do, like go out shopping and playing with other children, which was supposedly what they wanted. It's a great question. It's 100% a fantastic question. We don't see them doing anything. That's, again, what's kind of dumb about Harry and Meghan and how they've crafted things is like they say they want normalcy, but normalcy for most parents is being out with your children. It's rare. Like Jennifer Garner's out with her kids all the time. Now, some of it maybe is that she called the Paps, maybe sometimes because of all the drama surrounding Ben Affleck, they just know where she is a lot, and so they just follow her constantly. Like they used to go to church really religiously, ironically, you could say. And so because of that, like they, church is at a particular time every week. And so you knew they were going to be at X location. And so you see her with her kids. When somebody makes a big fuss about how they love being parents, how they love their children all the time, and yet they're never with their children, it's weird. It's just weird. I rage. Meghan Markle always shuts her eyes and shakes her head when no matter when she speaks of her kids. I think that's pretty telling out of the detached parents. Yeah, I don't find her particularly maternal. That's just my personal opinion. Sarah says, give the traitor a read. The traitor king a read. Edward VIII did similar things to Harry and Meghan in books, TV interviews, tours, and our left simply let them be, and that stood the test of time. The best response is usually subtle. I would agree with that. But somewhat at the same time too, though, Edward was king. So I do think that makes it a bit different. I did start reading The Traitor King, and I did notice a lot of similarities. But I think too, the other thing is that Edward and Wallace, for all of the stuff that they did, I think had respect for the institution. Harry and Meghan don't. Harry and Meghan want to actively undermine it. And although Edward and Wallace somewhat did that, I think at the end of the day, they did have respect for the institution. I found it interesting too that he mentioned that, well, her interesting thought was that when he gave up the throne, she was like, oh my gosh, now we have to live up to this epic love that we've created for ourselves. And am I worth it? And are we all worth it? Like giving it up. And I thought that was a very insightful, if she said it, very insightful comment that I feel like Meghan Markle doesn't have. Meghan Markle still thinks she has the greatest love story ever. And I don't think she really cares whether or not it's true or false. Joni became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Joni. Kimberly says, if Harry and Meghan want to tour dangerous cities, tell him to come to Baltimore. Yeah. Raw Mercury says, I started late, but yeah, in Haiti, people can't even fly out or in or out easily at all. And all things like visas only in one city and extremely dangerous for none of the Haitians and non-Haitians and Haitians. Yes. I had to get I did have a visa, I think. But yeah, it's, very dangerous. And just driving from the hotel to the base or wherever you're staying, I mean, that's one of the most dangerous car rides you will ever take. Court Watch Australia said, I agree with them acting like parent experts. The kids are under 7, yet they act like they have wisdom to share with other parents of teenagers, especially serious issues. Yeah. They act like they have the wisdom to share these things and they don't know them. Antonia says, I like Rita on Sky News Australia. She's funny. I'll have to look up and see what hopefully they said something nice. Karen says, to me, the fact that they can't even respect their own parents and families, why on earth would we listen to a word of their sanctimonious, self-important advice? Exactly. Exactly. Rob Mercury says, if Meghan Markle really cared about this issue, she should stand up for Britney Spears and fight for someone who really was tortured by the media. I could see that. Isa Texas says, Brittany, do you think the Colombia is a calculated move? The ambassador is vacant in Colombia. It would afford her free security. That's true. I mean, you do get security if you are in a dangerous country and you are a member of the embassy staff and are like, especially like the ambassador or something, and some of the embassy staff too. Like somebody may escort you from your home to your to the embassy or whatever. It all depends too, though, on how high ranking Colombia is. If Colombia, and now this is more of America, because I know specifically more how the American ambassador system works than the UK one. But I would imagine this is mostly the case, is that some ambassadorships are lifelong diplomats, like that is their job. They work for the home office, I guess you would say. I don't know, the whatever, this foreign office, I guess, in the UK. But in this, State Department, there are career diplomats. But when it comes to big countries like the UK, the ambassador is a political appointee, and then the deputy chief of mission actually runs the embassy. So the ambassador is the more, you could say, how would you put it? Like more the face and kind of almost having a head of state role, kind of like a royal. That's kind of the role the ambassador has. Whereas the deputy chief of mission actually runs the embassy. So, but not all embassies are big enough to have those two roles. Some of them, the ambassador is simply the lifelong diplomat. So it all depends. Rich says they fling so much disrespect and hatred and are miffed about not being invited to summer vacation home. Imagine that. I know, right? We have Susie W. Greetings for y'all from North Yorkshire. Woof woof to Miss Pippa from Forest. Can anyone remember life before the gruesome twosome? I remember royal watching being very different before Harry and Meghan came. And I know that there wasn't a lot of love in some circles for Catherine. I think that's changed quite a bit in the couple of years, but like it was just very different. And Harry and Meghan have added this extra layer of toxicity that just was not there. But there. Michelle says, hello. How can anybody be so clearly hypocrite? Preaching about parenting or online bullying, eco warriors traveling private, wearing boring beige and saying you weren't able to wear colors. Dear Lord. Yeah, you would think she'd be able to keep her story straight. But she can't. Paul says King Charles has never met Lilibet, that no children were actually brought to the Platinum Jubilee with Harry and Meghan. The photos of Lilibet are, in fact, manipulated images of Hartford Clark. So I don't buy into any of that, to be quite honest. I just don't. And so I think the kids exist. I think the kids went. I think Charles has maybe met Lilibet once in person. But yeah. Stephanie says the Sussex Squad don't just bully, they dox people, issue death threats, call the police with horrendous false accusations about their targets. Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%. And that is going too far. And you can see me people, I've started doing this thing sometimes where if somebody says like something extremely rude, even if it doesn't go anywhere, I report everything to Twitter. Because at some point, if you report somebody enough, something does happen. So you just got to keep an eye on things. And some of them I don't keep an eye on, but there's like somebody who was like doing a decent amount of doxing and trying to find personal family pictures and stuff like that. And it's like, I just reported them as much as I could because I was like, you can't do that. Disagree with the ideas, but stop attacking the individual person because it actually makes your argument look weak because you don't have enough to actually push against the narrative yourself with information. You have to attack the person. It's called an ad hominem argument. It's kind of a debate term. 40F says, hi, Brittany, love your video analysis of the body language. They weren't sitting in a couch and touchy-feely. So different from Oprah Netflix engagement interviews they've done together. Yes, it was very different. And her reaction to him, honestly, it is shocking because it's like her kind of Like, like, you can almost tell she doesn't even believe him. So bad. Suzanne says, I think Meghan and Harry should care less about family mental health or online bullying. They just want to get in front of the cameras. They also know nothing about these issues. Yes. And honestly, I would say that, in my opinion, what they should do is just be honest about what they want. That they want attention, they want media focus, and stop trying to mask all their personal desires and altruism, because they try to mask everything in altruism. They're doing this thing with parents whose children have been victims of violence online, yet really it's about themselves. They're going to Colombia supposedly to help the Colombian people, when really it's a self-promotional tour for themselves. I think people also just don't like the general idea that you're supposedly doing this all for altruistic reasons when it's really a personal desire. And I think that's not great. Jennifer says, I love color and hats. They are fun. I like fascinators as well. I almost got one in Scotland and then I was like, no. DS, Brittany, you cracked me up. Duchess of Beige. So true. Yes, color is fun. Color is fun, which is why if you notice in that video, I changed my shirt color, or, it's either a shirt or a dress, like every little bit, just because it's like colors are fun. Colors change up things. They give more interest to things. They just do. Now, some people say they can only handle beige. Whatever. That's like your own personal desire. But I think too, Meghan's not a good enough fashionista to really pull off beige. She's not good enough at it because none of her outfits are interesting. They're all ill-fitting. They're all not for her body type. And because of that, it makes them look really, really bad. And so it's almost better for her to stick with more color because then it adds interest in an otherwise boring ensemble, because she like epitomizes beige. She's a beige person. Her style is beige. Her color scheme is beige. Like everything is beige, 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 beige. And what is beige? It's boring. It's really boring. And so, yeah. Sharon says, what time is for the interview? Not that I will be watching. I don't know what time the interview is. I don't know what time, whenever the morning show is. I may have to ask my parents to like record it for me or something. Mary says, morning, excellent videos this week. Why, thank you. Pam Marie says, I agree with you, Brittany. The RF needs to take this more seriously. Yes. Froze F says, hi, Brittany. I've traveled to 32 countries and with plans to visit more. Colombia and Nigeria are not on my list. Do you think the appeals court will take this into consideration? I certainly hope so. Because if they're willing to put themselves on the line, why do they need, like, if they're willing to be stupid with their own personal security, why in the world is anybody else paying for it? Like, mm. Shan says, Brittany, unfortunately, the change will come from Prince William. Probably. And Metal says, Pam, only British Parliament can strip those titles. Yes, but I think if King Charles makes it known that he approves that or supports that, I think it'll be good. Mima says she locked her closet in the royal family for the rest of her life due to those two kids. She knew what she was conniving from day one. I would agree with that. Compass Rose says, hopping in late, cloudy Maine morning. What do you think about the new German documentary? Is it well researched? I haven't watched it. I'm not super enthused about it, to be honest. There's so much misinformation about Harry and Meghan anymore that it's hard sometimes to suss things out. I think they mentioned that she has another kid, which I really don't think she does. Because some people show this picture and it does pay to create false narratives about Harry and Meghan. It does. They've created that. That does exist. So I'm not a big fan of that. But I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Shan says, Brittany, the children Archwell and Archie and Lily are brought out as a display because they're being used for sympathy and empathy. To a certain extent, yes. And they know it makes them look good. But GL Hunter says, good morning. Weird Harry not at the Olympics schmoozing for Invictus. Yeah. And Invictus is begging people for money. They're begging for donations for the Canada Games. So I think there's problems. Demetria says, I want to call you a hater. You are very informative and even offer positive advice. Love your content. Why, thank you. Yes, I try to offer good advice. Like so I need to do this video because Blake Lively just announced a new hair care line. And she does essentially exactly what I told Harry Meghan to do when it comes to American Riviera Orchard. Exactly, pretty much. The issue is I don't like the brand name Blake Brown. I don't like that. But I like basically everything I laid out is sort of exactly what I said Meghan should do. Blood Royal, somebody like Douglas Murray should interview them. A real intellectual or Megyn Kelly would be brilliant. Can you imagine? Oh man, Megyn Kelly would be good. she would she would take them to task. That's the thing. They haven't been held to task. So any other interviews I think come across too as kind of like also come across as boring because they're never held to task. American Woman says, "Good day, all. It's been a long time since I've joined a live. Good to see you." So I have a Horror Beauty FX. Yay, I made a live. Hope everyone is well, and I hope you are too. Paul says, Meghan wanted the baby shower in the US to be around celebrities that she always intended to merch the royal title in the US. And they definitely did some merching with the away suitcases. So obvious. Shan says, Brittany, we are paying for their security thanks to the Biden administration and British embassy secrecy. I don't think so. But yeah, there's something about his visa application they don't want out. Susan says, I do agree that if they strip the titles, Meghan officially becomes Princess Henry. She would be roaring happy because she would morph into Princess Meghan. Yeah, but I mean, her followers already call her that, and most of the media calls her Meghan Markle. So I don't know. Sophie says, Hi, Brittany. Have you ever considered arranging a meetup for the UK Royal News Networks the next time you're here? We'd love it. Afternoon tea and a chat. Yes, I've thought about it because I'm thinking about going to the UK the end of this month. I still need to get my tickets. They've actually been very cheap on my preferred airline. So kind of excited. And I did get actually a notification this morning. I'm going to LA later this week for a YouTube event. And they've already upgraded me to Comfort Plus, which is nice. I just hope it's not a middle seat. We'll have to see. So yeah, I've been thinking about that and thought that would be fun. I just like nervous. I don't know quite how to do it. So we'll have to figure something out though, because I think that would be great. I may try to bring I know some people really like the shirts, and I have some sitting that I need to offload. The recollections may vary. So if if people want to buy them, maybe I'll bring those as well because I think that would be fun. Heather says there are demonstrations in Nigeria about the cost of lending. I wonder how many families they could have fed with what is spent on Harry and Meghan's trip. Yes, and same with the Invictus Games. The Invictus Games, if there's only about 500 competitors, that means every competitor is costing the Canadian taxpayer $60,000. That's a year's salary for everyone. Pam says, Good morning, Brittany. Finally made a live. We got Kimberly B. Speaking of olive branches, why don't they extend an olive branch to Meghan's family? Now, I kind of get why they don't. But Janine Walsh says, Hey, I think I'm pretty special, LOL, but I'm not asking anyone to pay my expenses. I would be very upset if my ridiculously high taxes were used to pay for their ultra lifestyle. Yes, I think that would be hugely offensive. That would be a massive scandal, actually. It'd be a massive scandal. Like a huge scandal. It would make them very unlikable. It's like, you're not even working. Like the reason the royals get the security is because they're representing the head of state, not just because they're the children of the king. That's not how this works. Lucy says, Good morning from Las Vegas. Brittany, I'm starting to think they're putting themselves in harm's way by visiting these countries in hopes there's some sort of threat on them to get their IPP status back. Yeah, I think that you can read into that. Janine Walsh says, Good morning from Chicago. Missy says, Only softball interviews for these two. They couldn't handle their feet to the fire. Just fluff pieces to get ratings and keep them top of mind. LOL. Yes. I would love if they thought they were getting a softball interview and then somebody really puts them to task for things. That would be amazing. Because that would be just awesome. I'd love that. Peeper Jean, thank you so much for the tip. Lack of color aside, why is the fit of her clothes always so atrocious and inappropriate? She either looks like she's wearing Shaquille O'Neal's hand-me-downs or Showgirl's wardrobe. I think there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is that she thinks she's a supermodel. And I think she thinks that because her legs are disproportionately long to her body, but she's short. She's only like 5'5", 5'6". And so she thinks she's a supermodel, and there's certain clothes that just look better on a woman who is like 5'8" and above. Just the truth. Just the truth. Because you have more of a presence if you're taller. We notice this with men too, like tall men, you pay attention to them because they're tall. And women, it's the same. I remember watching a woman, I think she was walking on the plane or something. And she was going into economy class and she looked like she was 5'11". And I was like, man, I wonder how she can find her seat. Like it's going to be so close to her and everything. And so I think Meghan thinks like that. So she buys clothes that are meant for a supermodel. And she also buys clothes because I like in her Nigerian tour, like you really felt like, are you just trying to be sexy? Like, why? You're 40 now. You're almost 43 years old. She's gonna turn 43, I think, tomorrow. It's like it's time to, in my opinion, and I know some people disagree with me on this, but this is my personal opinion. At some point in your life, you kind of gotta start dressing your age, and a bunch of cutouts and high slits and everything. It might still look good, but there might be a time where it's just kind of time to put those things to rest. I actually took a picture of, I think it was Heidi Klum at the cans or something, and I saved it. And I saved it in part for maybe a future video or something because it's like she's wearing this outfit, and I'm like, you're in your 50s. You still look pretty good, but honestly, once you reach a certain age, if you are trying to dress like you're in your 20s when you're in your 40s and 50s, you look desperate. There's a desperation to your look because of the fashion. And Meghan sometimes I think falls into that trap as well. I think we all do to a certain extent. But yeah, she tries to dress like she's a supermodel when she's not that tall. And she doesn't have the body to pull it off. She has very weird proportions. What she should really do is invest in a really, really good tailor because a good tailor might make her stuff look a bit better on her. She's got a funky body. So, like, I found that, especially if I'm a bit thinner than I am right now, because my hips tend to get wider the more weight I carry. But overall, I have more of an hourglass type figure. So clothes tend to hang on me a bit better because I have that kind of in out silhouette. I mean, it's wider down here, so it's gonna but, like, if I'm thinner, it has more of that kinda classic hourglass silhouette, and so I find that things hang on me better, I think, and not all the time, but oftentimes because I have that silhouette that most designers are designing clothes for. Meghan has this odd silhouette where she's very square, rectangular on top. If you notice sometimes from her back is very wide. I think her shoulders set actually pretty wide. And she has no like her hips and her shoulders are the same. So and she has no waist. So it's just kind of flat and then long limbs. So she has a funky shape and she has no chest. And so it kind of like you gotta get stuff that gives you shape, and she just doesn't get there. So, anyways, that's my long explanation for why Meghan Markle looks mostly terrible. Is that she's not dressing for her body. She doesn't really have a sense of style, and she's trying to recapture her youth. Bad combination. Deandra says, Brittany, would you consider coming to South Africa for the Earthshot Prize? I would definitely consider it. I've considered it. I think it would be fun. Because I have been there. South Africa just worries me a smidge because I know there are some really dangerous parts of South Africa. So I don't know if myself, because I'd be by myself, I don't know if I could navigate all of that by myself well enough. That would be my only concern. Is I know that some places are perfectly fine, but you just got to make sure you get the right drivers, that you get to the right location, and that you're doing the correct things, and you should be fine. But there's always like there's a bit of a higher risk, and I'm like, I try to be aware of those kind of things. That there are some dangerous neighborhoods in South Africa for sure, but I would definitely consider going. CJ says, "Hi, hello, Brittany. Love your show as always. Harry, Meghan, and her so desperate to go on their faux royal tour that they'll even risk a dangerous country that's not even in the Commonwealth." Yes. Kieran says, "A tour means it's meant to promote goodwill between two entities. How can a tour do that when they represent no one? I'm offended by the way these trips are framed, quite honestly." I'd agree with that 100%. Ilja says, "Hi from Finland. Harry and Meghan are desperate for IPP status. This trip makes them look even more ridiculous if possible." Agreed. All right. So Beverly says, "You're right about sexism and abuse cases. Males are abused as much greater rate than are reported. Unfortunately, it's quite common and not criminally charged as male to female." Yes. Yeah. And so again, if the sexism and Harry and Meghan's relationship were reversed, I think we'd have a very different conversation, or at least some people would take it more seriously. CDBB says, "Good morning. Do you think they realize the damage that comes from emotionally blackmailing the king in public? Do they see that they are damaging themselves, stunned by the lack of maturity and insight?" I think Meghan's starting to become aware of how bad it is. I think Meghan is becoming aware of that because that she said in the interview with People, "Oh, I'd hope he moved on," but yeah, he's not moving on because she set him up, and now she can't rein him back in. So none of it's going to get any better. Maria Costello says the boys season 4 mock Harry and Meghan. We all know Oprah has been under house arrest ever since she sat down with Prince Harry in that monarchy. Meghan Markle. Oh goodness, that's good. That's good. I tried to watch that show a bit and I was like, it was a little much for me. Angie says they need all this private security because of acid scares, but Meghan's dad is on his own risk getting acid thrown at him. No security whatsoever. I don't think he's at a risk, and I don't think she is either. So, I mean, he lives in, as far as I'm aware, if he still lives in Mexico, he has other risks. Compass Rose says, I saw someone mention how similar Megan's hair was in the Oprah Winfrey in the CBS interview to Catherine's in the disclosure interview. Kind of creepy. Yeah, Megan tends to kind of Megan, yeah, kind of she tends to do that sometimes in interviews where she has her hair like that and then she has she'll have her hair up. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't like the conversation of wigs. I know some people mentioned because it's like I don't want if she uses one, I don't care. Like personal preference and everything. So that's how I go. Isa Texas says, Brittany, I think you're spot on about Thomas Markle. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Indeed, a person can beg without actually begging, and he does. Yeah. So, and yeah, I think there's other more worthy recipients of support than him, to be honest. But that's just my personal opinion. People want to support him. That's totally fine. That's their prerogative. Again, free speech, and you are allowed to do what you want to do. I can just also be allowed to not really be on the same train. Colleen says, I feel the same way about the GoFundMe, Brittany. Thank you. So let's go down here a little bit. Babette says, I don't follow celebrities. Are they papped as much as Meghan? Do they have a lot of puff pieces written about them? Some do, yes. Like there's a lot of stuff about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck right now. I think most of it's being fueled by Jennifer Lopez. And I noticed when I was looking at paparazzi pictures of her, she's well aware they're there. She's kind of seeming to play to them. But you'll notice like there was pictures of Natalie Portman. She was picking up her kids from school or something. Not really like the paps were pretty far away and she just did her thing and ignored them. So it depends on the celebrity and how much they want the attention. True artists, I would say, kind of begrudgingly accept that they will be the targets of the paparazzi. They don't like it at all. They don't try Natalie Portman was staying at the hotel, the Mark, where Meghan was having her baby shower, and I think was super frustrated about the press attention because she was there with her kids and her husband. She didn't want the press attention because she was there, like she wants to actually be a private citizen when she's not working. Again, like if a celebrity is promoting a film or something, they understand that the press attention is part of that. That's the game they have to play. But when they're on their own time, like I feel like true artists are like, leave me the heck alone. I don't really want them to. I mean, they kind of do because most artists are kind of sort of narcissists in that industry. But at the same time, too, like they don't really want the press attention into their lives. Whereas Meghan, like, is well aware. Like in those pictures of her and Kimberly Williams, Paisley, Meghan is well aware the paparazzi are there. She is deliberately smiling for them. 100%. She in some pictures it looks like she's looking directly at them because she's aware they're there. And they're there because she called them because they wouldn't drive all the way up to Montecito without good reason because it's like 3 hours outside LA. And so they just want to do that. Athena says Colombia is the perfect place for the Harkles to stage a fake kidnapping, use it for the king's court case. Yeah, but those things, if they do that, then they are dumber than a bag of bricks. I don't care what somebody says. That is just incredibly stupid because those kind of things can go so incredibly wrong. You think you have the whole thing planned out and it's going to go wrong. Peaky Pie says, I have seen that South Park is doing something else with the two. Anyone else have heard information that I haven't heard? But I mean, they are just ripe for the picking. They are ripe for the picking. Josie says, has the funeral dates for Baron Fellows been published? I don't think Harry will attend. I have not seen that. And yes, I forgot to mention that. Yes, Harry and William's uncle has passed away. He was married to one of Diana's sisters. I can't remember which one. And so, yeah, it's that's always sad. So Paul says Sophie went to Colombia in November 2023. Yeah. And definitely when it comes to like following and doing royal engagements, I would 100% be more likely to go and follow William around South Africa than I would ever be to go to Colombia to follow Harry and Meghan around, just because I think South Africa, I know there's sections of South Africa that are pretty safe, whereas I'm not sure of any of that in Colombia. Could be true, probably not. I don't know. P Pacific says, "Do you know that CBS Jane Pauley anchored Charles and Diana's royal wedding 43 years ago with Tom Brokaw? She's 74. She looks good for 74. I knew she was older. Didn't know she's 74. She looks good though." Jennifer says Megan would have to give up her titles if she went into politics, and she loves those titles. Yes, it's the only thing that makes her noteworthy as well. Babette says she would have to show up on time and actually answer questions. So right there's no politics. And if she thinks her secrets won't be exposed, yes, they would be. Sugar Cookie says my Instagram is me, boring, but definitely me. Yeah, I mean it's, and I think it's, yeah, like some people are 100% like true on social media. There are those people who will show themselves in good and ill. But there's also those people that obviously carefully curate what they post. They're very particular about what they post. They always want to show themselves in a good light and stuff like that. And Harry strikes me as one of those. Jennifer says, have you ever thought of doing an interview with HG Tudor Brittany? He's asking people to reach out to him if you want to do a video with him. I haven't really thought about that. I kind of careful with doing something with someone else just because I don't know. It's always worries me a bit. So, because it's like if something goes wrong and, you associate too closely with somebody, that could go really wrong. So, I don't know too much about HG Tutor, to be honest. I haven't really watched their channel, but maybe at some point we'll see. Azuma says, how's the quality of the earrings? I tried to buy some cheap ones and got an infection. I think the quality of my earrings are good. Good. You can see the ones I put in yesterday right there. I'm trying to, they're like so heavy. They kind of, because they're the 2 carat lab created diamonds. So they are lovely. Because I like having and I slept well in them. That was my other thing. But yeah, this one it took a while to get in. So I think I kind of made my ear a bit sore yesterday trying to get it in there. Because the stem for the earrings is just a little thicker because they do have the screw on the back. So that means it's a little thicker. So this one just had a hard time going in. I don't know why. But Channel Watch says Princess Rajwa gave birth today to a daughter named Aman. Great for them, Jordan Royals. Yes, I did post that on Twitter and I forgot to mention that this morning. Yes, they had a daughter. She will not be in the line of succession because it only goes through the guys, but it's very, very exciting. I was kind of like really kind of hoping she had a boy because I know now the pressure will be really on her now to have a boy for the next time. So I just hope for her that there's not too much pressure on that because I know at least for Japan, that was a big, big issue. And not that they don't have other options in Jordan, because obviously the king has 2 sons, but I imagine that they'd want it to kind of go through in that way. Nur Chokum says, Brittany, given your love on royals, do you ever dream of getting a prince? Bet you'll be a good addition to any royal family. I mean, I wouldn't say no. But at the same time, too, uh, it's regardless of who the person is, you need to marry somebody who has the same passions as you. Somebody who it's actually going to be a good marriage. It can't just be, oh, he's a prince and I want to marry a prince. Cuz, every guy can be a prince in his own way. Just because he doesn't have the title doesn't mean he can't be a very, very princely gentleman. So I think to me, finding a princely gentleman is better than finding a prince, if that makes sense. So Jennifer says Robert Jobson is a sugar, so no way. Watch the review of the Vintage Read show Shauna did on the book. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I meant to try to grab that this week and see. And it would be interesting to read how that is because I think sometimes there's been a bit, somewhat of a because I've watched Royals for 10 years, so I know. I think in some ways because Meghan has entered the picture, some of the narrative on Catherine has shifted a bit. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. So, Choco Donut Tella says, based on what data did Prince Harry feel Meghan was outperforming the other working royals? Was it based on that she was not advised to the media attention? Well, I think they just thought she was great. he thought she was just great and doing great. And then she would get stories written about her. But the thing is, there's always stories written about the new royal that enters the family. That's not a surprise. And so this kind of idea that she's outperforming them because she's getting more headlines is sort of somewhat true, but also pretty false, because that does tend to happen with the new member. Mm. The focus goes to a new member for a bit before things readjust, and it kind of goes back to homeostasis. So in the first couple of years of her marriage, Meghan would be more of the attention, which I think Catherine was totally fine with, because she was the new person on the block. And so there's just some natural more gravitation towards her. But as time would go on, it would naturally shift back more to Catherine and William, especially as they became the Prince and Princess of Wales, and it will eventually become their kids. So George, Charlotte, and Louis. The focus of the media will shift to the kids, and that is what happens. It's kind of like Hollywood in some ways, where the young, like, an actress can be huge in her 20s and maybe early 30s, and then some new 20-year-old comes up and all the media attention goes to the 20-year-old. It's kind of a vicious cycle. Royalty kind of works like that. So, so it was said, Brittany, is Meghan a British citizen? If so, why? She's not. She had to live there for at least 5 years and she never made it out. So Azima says, how many books left in the Penguin Random House book deal for Harry and Meghan? I want to say two at least. So we'll see. Jennifer Simmons says, hello, gorgeous, and all you other lovely peeps. I'm late. I'll have to rewatch later, but I got to stop by for now. Well, hello. Pinkie Pie says, logically, think about the kids if they don't exist. Repercussions will be a huge difference. Agencies will get involved, and why did you pretend on the world stage to have kids? Yeah, I think it would be really bad if they did, but I think, like, the kids have to exist. They just do. It would be a huge scandal if they weren't, and it would just be kind of sort of crazy. But again, here's the thing: if you think about it, Harry and Meghan, and particularly Meghan, likes to play games with the media to try to get the upper hand. But much like Harry winding him up in his savior complex regarding security and him pursuing it to infinity, costing them potentially millions upon millions of dollars, Meghan has done the same thing with the kids, like lying about when she was in labor and when she gave birth initially and everything. Like, they sort of lied about that to try to manipulate the media, to try to get the other upper hand. And it has devolved into surrogacy, fake kids, and everything. So Meghan Markle is responsible for a lot of the own chaos that surrounds her, because she is somebody so consumed both with herself and controlling things and everything, that she creates a situation where chaos erupts, and it just doesn't suit her well. Janine says Brittany is well respected within the YouTube community. She's worked hard and deserves it. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Angie says she removed the claw from his leg when he spoke. Yeah, I did notice it at the end. I kind of wish maybe I'd included a bit, but she did finally remove when she did her whole hair thing. She did remove her hand from his leg. Brit says no claw during that interview. Imagine if there was a thinking cover over each of them as the interview progressed. I would have been dying. Oh yes. Ah, 40F says, I watch other YouTube channels that criticize Harry and Meghan, but love your words the best. Your criticism is with kindness. Thank you. That's a great way to put it. I like to criticize, but with kindness. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked, hey, Brittany, can you tell me where you got these little earrings? They are yellow gold. I got them from Nordstrom Rack. So I thought, like, because I feel like somehow, because the lemons in the basket, like, lemons are supposedly part, and again, that's what's so dumb. Like, is an American Riviera orchard reflecting Megan's, like, 3 lemon trees in her backyard, which is not an orchard, by the way. It's like, so yeah. Yeah, I got them from Nordstrom Rack. I can't remember what the brand name was, but I was looking for, like, lemon earrings. You may be able to find them. So I should have included them in that video. Susan says, but that red dress, Brittany, the horror. Yeah, nothing like that red dress. I have said this time and time again. I will say it till the cows come home, that red dress that she wore to whatever the event was, the Carolina Herrera dress, that thing is hideous. It is hideous. Like, the fit is awful, looks terrible on her, she looks terrible in it. It's like, oh, good lord. K Coffee says, "I'm glad my favorite commentators will watch the interview so I don't have to burn my eyes." Yes, I will definitely try to watch the interview so you don't have to. Uh, ARM Scout says, "In my opinion, they go to dangerous countries and wait to get a text so they can say, 'See, I told you there we were at risk.' They wish for the Diana moment." Yes, but they should know too the Diana moment didn't go well. So if something really, really bad happens and they courted that, then that's kind of their like, it's just so dumb. So, Ocean says, "I'm in the same way with the Markles. I think they're grifting a little bit too. I'm actually not a fan of Lady C who started the GoFundMe. I mean, people can do what they want, but yeah, I'm not interested." Becky says, "Megan Kelly or Candace Owens should interview them. I would pay for that. I would pay definitely to see, especially like Megan Kelly because she's an attorney. Oh, I think she could really rake them over the coals and just really call them out on their hypocrisy. But I don't know if um what would I say? I don't know how totally that would go in some ways. Um, if Megyn Kelly knows enough. See, the sorry, I was trying to get there and then I was reading comments and too many thoughts in my head. So I think the other problem is you have to have somebody who really, really, really does know the royal stuff to really hold them to task. So she would have to have somebody like Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly could, but she'd have to have somebody who does a lot of research on her behalf because you have to really nail them on some of the inaccuracies they're saying about the royals, the royal family, how it functions and everything. You'd have to really nail them on that. So when they go, because like I would ask them a question around Mexa. So you said in your Mexa statement that you weren't going to take the sovereign grant, but you know that's only a small percentage of that money that you use to help your office. But you wanted your father's money. Is that correct? They're like, well, yeah. Well, I thought you wanted to stand on your own. Aren't you almost 40 years old with millions of dollars in the bank and inheritance? How come you couldn't support your own family? You're a father of one, now two. Shouldn't you be able to support yourself? And to see him try to logic that would be funny. Janae says, "I'm sorry to say, but the shirt I bought here, not bloody likely, was not good. Words off center, runs a very small." I think my shirts are pretty good. So I ordered them myself from um Custom ink. But I do so actually the event I'm going to with YouTube is actually a company that does merchandise, and they're the ones that fulfill the orders and stuff from their own website, which I think is great because one of the challenges I have is, like, when I do a t-shirt order, I have to fulfill all of them, and that takes a long time, and so I'm really excited to hopefully maybe be able to have more things, and so, like, if you order something from there, they print it, they do whatever, and they ship it directly to you, and I don't have to do it. Not that I don't want to do it, but it's hard to do too. But I would love to. I have like a stack, especially smalls and stuff. So I'd love to be able to, you could say, offload some of them if you will, just to kind of get those out of my kind of get out of those. Um, Janine Walsh says Meghan Markle would say she's a Republican if it got her in front of the cameras for more than a moment. I would agree with that. She'll say just about anything. She'll jump on any bagwagon. Any bagwagon. Rich says, "I wonder whose private jet they will use this time. She got her hand slapped recently for treating someone else's jet like her own." Yeah, like she's not rich enough to actually really be able to fund her own jet. And most of the like of travel in first class is pretty good. Like a lot of celebrities fly first class. Metal Mayhem says Brittany, but Megan said there were no tabloids in the US. I know, right? Like we are different than the UK definitely, but they exist 100%. Renee says, "I bumped into Anne Hathaway in Belize. She rejected a woman wanting to take a picture with her. She would only take pictures with children." Well, that's kind of sweet. That's kind of sweet. I kind of get that. I kind of don't. But yeah, that's very sweet to make sure that the kids get the attention, not necessarily adults. Robin says it's a pity Parliament, King Charles, and the British public won't stop the madness Harry and Meghan, strip the titles. Yes, because it does undermine them. And the thing too is, I think even though Edward and Wallace had their own issues for sure, I'd have to finish reading The Traitor King. But I think sometimes he, I think Harry and Meghan are even more relentless because there's a different atmosphere now with like media attention and stuff than there was in Edward and Wallace's day. I think Meghan Markle is so stinking desperate for attention that it would just go crazy. Okay. So Pinkie Pie, Shan, and Metal says HG Tudor is a good interviewer. So I may have to take a look and see. Loretta says, so far, the best interview with HG Tour was baggage claim and stuff. The altar really held her own against him. He plays everyone, so you have to be sharp. Ooh. Quirky says, use Vaseline on your earlobes before inserting the earrings. That would be a good. That'd be a good. I'll have to use that next time. Brittany, you always said Meghan and Harry have nothing in common. That's one reason why the marriage won't last. Yes, they don't have anything in common. Because he had to change everything about himself really to please her, and that's never a good relationship dynamic. Jennifer George says, is there any itinerary for this tour? Who are they meeting? Why? We don't really know. Like they're going to a couple different places. And I mean, it sounds like a pseudo royal tour. And yeah. But I will say too, history obviously proved that the royal family is stronger, but it's also in a different place, I feel like, in some ways. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say for sure. Jackass says you can't do quiet luxury if you can't stand to stay quiet. So true. So true. Yeah, Meghan is really doesn't understand quiet luxury. Quiet luxury is like, it's there's like flashy and there's like things you can wear where only those who know. So I get it. Janine Walsh says, Brittany, don't do anything where you don't have control. Always keep it. Yeah, that is a really smart thing. I will say 100%. That is, you could say I have some of that, control thing, but your reputation is kind of everything. And so that is something you have to work hard to maintain. Sugar Cookie says, unfortunately, right now in the UK, there's so much more pressing issues than deleting titles for them to actually do. Yes. So that will kind of always be put on the back burner, unfortunately, unless they're really, really slow. But yeah. Jennifer George says, I don't think the surrogacy set up, but there was another woman with child but he got another woman with child and Meghan volunteered to be the child mom. I don't think that's the case. That's the case. Kathy says Meghan Kelly proved how little she knows by the Catherine BS. Clueless. Yeah, I will say she was kind of confused about what to call Catherine. And I know some people criticize me for saying Kate Middleton in the title. I do that more for SEO analytics reasons. I call her Catherine, Princess of Wales. But Princess of Wales is like really long to put in the title of a video, and they have 100 characters to utilize. So you have to be very particular about certain things. But yeah, I wasn't real impressed with Meghan's grasp of some of that because the titles are complicated, though, I will admit. K Coffee says, going to places where the rich citizens are going is not a royal tour. How many poor places did they go to in Nigeria? Not really. And they watched Polo, and it's like, how many people in Polo really? So guys, we will go ahead and wrap up the live stream for today. It is 12:03 Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you guys have had a fun time with the live this morning. I'm not planning on doing one next week on Saturday, and hopefully taking a little bit of time to think through maybe some new ideas for the channels and everything. But there was just so much going on that it was just too good not to chat about. So guys, today, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful Saturday with your family and friends and the rest of the weekend. And I shall see you guys again so very, very soon. Bye.